My husband saw a video recently where the creator was schooling men on how to get lucky with their wives. A list of tricks to try, hoops to jump through, jobs to perform, all delivered with a wink to female viewers as if the notion of simply asking or initiating was ridiculous. We're not sure the skit would land quite so well if the advice were about women's needs. Oh, you want to have a decent conversation where you feel heard and appreciated? Well, I reckon a 30-minute blowjob should cover that. Sounds ridiculous, right? Because it is. The whole concept of getting lucky shouldn't even exist inside a marriage. I'd hate it if my husband felt he had to perform like a clapping seal every time he wanted sex. It's not a commodity, and basic acts of care aren't payments. Marriage is a sexual relationship, so sex is part of the deal. It's not a chargeable extra like luggage on a budget flight. Okay, wait, hang on. Am I suggesting women should have sex with their husbands no matter what? Absolutely not. There's a fundamental and non-negotiable proviso to the sexual covenant, and that's trust. Steadfast, unwavering trust. So, in this video, we're going to talk about how sex and trust are the two fundamental forces that govern a marriage's health, why that is, and what to do if either are lacking. Hi, I'm Laura and I'm a relationship counsellor and coach in the UK. I help couples build relationships that feel alive and fulfilling. If you're new to the channel, welcome, it's lovely to have you. A quick disclaimer before we begin. This video isn't for anyone dealing with trauma, abuse, coercion or physical pain during sex, so please seek support if that's your situation. Here we're talking about consensual sexual willingness, the cultural narratives that impede it, and the central role of trust. Throughout human history, men faced evolutionary pressure to compete, hunt, and protect, driven by high testosterone, single-minded focus, and a strong mating instinct. Women, bearing the cost and risk of reproduction and the vulnerability of child-rearing, tended to be more attuned to threat and more selective about the men they could trust with their lives. The pairing of her need for safety and his drive to protect and to mate is one of the ways families have survived across millennia. Obviously, society has changed, but our underlying drives have not. On average, men still want a lot of sex, and women still desire feeling safe and secure with their chosen mate. We can actually see this reflected in how male and female arousal systems work. For most men, arousal is excitation dominant, so tension or challenge can heighten it. Just ask your man if he'd like a quickie halfway through a blazing row, and he'll probably be keen to make up and good to go. For most women, on the other hand, arousal is inhibition dominant. So if her man is a source of fear or stress, it switches off. Ask your wife if she's in the mood right after you've lied to her or broken her trust and see what happens. Neither system is wrong, they're just different, and understanding and accepting the difference is important here. In my experience, most men need sex to reduce stress, reconnect, and feel loved. Most women need to feel calm, valued, and secure before they even start thinking about taking their clothes off. Of course, it's more nuanced than that, and there's plenty of overlap, but in my experience, the basic thesis holds. Now, I know what lots of you are thinking. Women don't need that level of safety when they're dating in order to have sex. Well, yes, I've already made a whole video on that called Why Women Go Off Sex, but in short, it's about honeymoon hormones and novelty, which can temporarily override the usual safety switch. Once that early phase chemistry fades, especially when children enter the picture, her need for relationship security takes priority. Meanwhile, his need for sex remains because his drive is more stable. Again, neither is wrong or less valid than the other. But this is where modern feminist-influenced relationship advice fails both sexes. Husbands are told that sex is a byproduct of a successful marriage rather than a necessary component of one, and that its availability depends on his daily performance, how many chores he does, how many dates he plans, and how closely he can mimic female emotional behavior. Women, on the other hand, are told that their need for safety, security, and to feel cherished by a man is a sign of weakness, naivety, or worse still, internalized misogyny. The obvious result, of course, is that both men and women feel starved, conflicted, and alone. Ah, feminism, the gift that just keeps giving. And as if that wasn't enough, the rise of pop psychology individualism is driving another nail into the coffin of male-female gender relations. Modern culture says happiness comes first, obligation is oppression, and if you don't feel like doing something, you shouldn't have to do it. They call it empowerment. I call it bullshit. So, whilst I don't owe you sex or I don't owe you an explanation might be fair assertions in singledom, it simply doesn't work in marriage. If you value autonomy above all else, then marriage might not be the right fit for you. Because when it comes to these core needs in marriage, there's no place for I shouldn't have to, not if you want it to function as intended. You can't withdraw sexually or emotionally and expect the marriage to become anything more than a surface level platonic cohabituation. Marriage is a voluntary covenant in which you both vow to limit certain individual freedoms for the sake of the union. It means prioritizing your spouse above all else and extending yourself to meet their needs as best you can, even when you don't feel like it. Radical, I know. In the context of this discussion, this means a woman understands her husband needs a sexual connection with her, and he understands she needs to trust him completely. We fail our marriages when we refuse to accept these basic truths. If she doesn't trust him, she won't want to have sex with him, and nor should she. Similarly, if he's a good man who keeps being refused, he'll eventually lose faith in her and in the marriage, and understandably so. This is an all too common downward spiral with no happy ending for either spouse. Conflict, infidelity, divorce, or a descent into long-term cold indifference are likely outcomes. So often when couples come to see me, once we've cleared the surface level complaints, everything boils down to these two core problems: a lack of sex or a lack of trust. And these two needs aren't always lacking simultaneously. I meet good, honest men who are routinely denied sex, and I meet warm, sexually open women who are betrayed by their men. And let me tell you, a woman who keeps having sex with a man she doesn't trust will usually be harmed. The same goes for a good man who has denied sex over the long term. So, assuming you're watching because you're struggling in this area as a couple, here's what each of you needs to do. To husbands, accept that her need for trust and emotional security is every bit as important as your need for sex. Live as a man of integrity who she can trust fully and consistently. Do what you say you'll do and don't do what you've promised you won't. Demonstrate that you're fully committed to her and that she's safe with you, and not just physically but emotionally. That doesn't mean being more feminine, it means accepting and supporting her need for connection and presence. Don't harm her sense of security through porn use, flirting, lying, half-truths, emotional withdrawal, addiction, or resentment. She needs to be able to look you in the eye and know with certainty that to your core you are steady, dependable, and truly with her. To wives, accept that his need for sexual connection is every bit as important as your need to feel secure. Let him know he's wanted and that his desire for you is something you value. Make it easy for him to approach you. Respond to his initiation with warmth, and when it's a yes, signal that clearly. But say yes more often than you say no, and when you say no, be kind and reassuring about why. Don't harm his sense of security through physical withdrawal, rolled eyes, criticism, or coldness, and don't treat his sexual needs as shallow or trivial. He needs to be able to look at you and feel confident that you're still his and that he's wanted, appreciated, and welcome. Once these two core principles of marriage are established, you'll find other negotiations less challenging because you'll be approaching them from a foundation of mutual fulfillment and safety. Discussing chores, childcare, childcare, finances, communication, dates, and all the other administrative complexities won't feel fraught with tension because your basic needs are no longer contingent on them. And you'll probably be far more willing to extend yourselves for each other in these areas anyway. There's no better vehicle for personal growth than marriage. Giving generously doesn't just strengthen the marriage, it benefits the individuals profoundly. When a man lives with integrity, acts with loyalty, and becomes a husband his wife can trust with her life, his whole life improves. He becomes more decisive, more focused, stronger, and more self-assured. Integrity strengthens men and puts them in touch with their masculinity in a way nothing else can. And when a woman allows herself to surrender sexually to a man she trusts fully, she can enjoy life-changing experiences. Regular, wanted sex in a bonded relationship helps her nervous system settle, makes her more resilient to stress, and supports healthier hormonal rhythms around mood and well-being. It has also been linked with stronger immune function and better long-term health outcomes. Her body and her mind thrive when she has regular, satisfying, secure, and connected sex. As a couple, all this feeds back into a positive feedback loop. The safer she feels, the more she enjoys sex and the more of it she wants. And the more wanted he feels, the more he wants her to feel safe with him. This results in more trust, more sex, more connection, less tension, less conflict, and a far more loving environment for children if you have them. Who in their right mind wouldn't want that? If you're not there as a couple, let me assure you it is possible. A sexless, unstable marriage can be transformed into a work of art with the right amount of determination to change. It's not always easy and it's going to involve effort, forgiveness and teamwork, but it's worth it and it can be done. So good luck, I'm rooting for you. If you need some support on your journey, you can get in touch with me or my team using the link in the description, and we'll happily walk alongside you. If this message felt important to you, consider subscribing so you don't miss the next conversation. I post new videos every week. And if you enjoyed this video, then you might also enjoy this one for the ladies about sexual generosity in marriage. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next week. In the meantime, to yourself and to others, tell the truth.